So, greetings.
Welcome to 4x2 Travel. We're Mark and Sharon, and we're here to talk about
Well, cruising in general, we love to travel, we love to cruise, but today's topic is food.
food.
Food. So, when you think of
Cruising, you think
cruising,
about food.
and yes, but if you've never cruised before,
Or if
in
you
a long
haven't
time,
cruised on Norwegian,
now when you think of cruising and dining, what comes to mind?
is it more like Titanic where you have to get dressed up and it's very formal and you have to wear
And
special clothes and
assigned table and assigned times,
yeah,
and that is the classical what sometimes we think about, but
yeah.
not anymore for hardly. Maybe there are some high-end cruise lines that do it, but Norwegian's known for what they call
Freestyle,
freestyle, which is whenever,
wherever.
wherever.
Yeah.
And we've been on, I don't know, 10 or 12 cruises so far with Norwegian over the past 15 years. And oh my gosh, there are so many dining options available. Some that are included in your fare, some you have to pay extra for. So we just wanted, especially for those of you that might be new to Norwegian or even cruising, just to kind of give you a general overview of the dining options that you'll find on most of the ships. And of course, some changes, with as the ships get larger or some of the newer ships have more unique things. But in general, let's talk about complementary stuff that comes with your fare right up front.
And I mean, we eat good at all of the complimentary ones. So the one I think that's the most family friendly and most schedule friendly is, of course, the buffet.
A buffet,
A buffet.
and it is. Let me tell you, especially the larger the ship, the more awesome. I mean, even on the smaller ships, there's still a huge amount of choices.
Yes.
But you bump up to the Joy that we were on and the Encore we're getting to go on, and they actually have different stations. What are some of the different stations you remember?
So there's a Taste of India, there's Chinese or
Noodle bar.
Maybe you can get your pho. You can
Crepe station.
Cheese. So if you want to do a little more salad type stuff, I mean,
2 or 3 salad stations.
and then for dinner, they have a carving station.
Yeah.
So every night they would have a different
big piece of meat
that
yeah.
could carve and potato bar kind of thing. And there's always some kind of soup.
Yeah. A lot of choices on the buffet,
yeah.
and a lot of opinions out there. But
yeah.
Hey, we ate there a number of times, and we thought it was good.
The buffet is also where you can get soft serve ice cream, and I think in the evening
times.
they have hand
Hard
dipped.
scooped, yeah. And on some of the ships, so they all have a main big buffet, and then some of the ships have smaller buffets that have a limited fare. The smaller ships have, outdoor garden buffet in the back, which is semi-outdoors. We've seen a buffet on the pool deck.
Yep. That was my favorite one.
Yeah, hot fries. And then the observation lounge on some of the ships have smaller little buffets here and there.
I think the observation lounge on the Joy, it had a lot of cookies or maybe
Scones.
some fruits or
fruit.
maybe cheeses or something like that, just more fingery food.
Yeah. So you have the buffet where you just go, you pick up your food in the line and you find a seat and sit down. But then even complimentary, there are some nice sit-down venues. They generically they're main dining rooms, but each ship has Manhattan, Taste, Savor. They're different, but they're all walk in and it's you're taken to the table.
You wait at the station, you give
Yeah.
them your card, they check you in, and then you're walked to a table. It's linen tablecloth.
Yeah.
You have
The napkin put in your lap, and
you have a waiter that comes to your table.
yeah, and that has changed over the years. When we first started cruising, we were almost always asked, "Do you want to share a table?"
Right.
And we were kind of encouraged to go to a table of 8 with others,
And that was fun.
and we enjoyed it. COVID comes, it all changed. Everything is two top, maybe a 4 top, and it's starting slowly to. On our last cruise, there were out of a 15-day cruise, maybe twice we were asked, "Would you like to share a table?"
I think, like, especially at breakfast time when
Yeah.
everything was kind of filled up, they had space at an 8 top.
But you could always say, we just like to eat by ourselves.
Right.
So there is that. But the main dining room, what about the menu? It,
The main dining room, Taste and Savor, has the same menu.
and I think now, it used to be sometimes there was difference between the two on the smaller ships, but it seems like every main dining room now has the same menu.
Manhattan might be different.
I think they're all the same now.
Okay.
Is that my understanding? What changes, because it used to be too, the whole, almost like the whole menu changed every day. And now you have
you had some like classics that were every day. You could do that, but there was a couple of daily specials.
right. And I think now it's kind of flipped that everything is now the classic. And then you have a separate chef's specialties every day. And those rotate. But I don't think we ever had a bad meal. We enjoyed all the meals, and you know, you don't get in the main dining room unless you pay extra. You're not going to get filet mignon. You're not going to get a lobster tail or crab legs, or you know, some of those other high-end things. They don't have a lobster night, but it's great food.
It is.
And the one thing that was always questionable for us is not the quality of food, but sometimes it was portion size.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because you don't know. There's no way to tell what the portion size is. We could order 2 different entrees, and one of us is like, and the
Please,
other is
sir,
getting,
may I have more?
yeah, and the other has this plate of food that could feed 2 people.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you can always, at the main dining, you can order more, you know. There is that, but it was always all right, how big is the portion here?
Yeah.
So that's,
Because
well,
there's really no point in having leftovers because when are you going to eat leftovers? You know, so that's a hard thing.
no sense in having a doggy bag.
No.
Now, saying that though, you can take food from the buffet and take it to a pool deck table, or even take it out to your room. There are those options. But what else is there that's complimentary?
Well, you have the local
Or
O'Sheehan's,
the pubs.
yeah, which are more like a cafe, kind of like an all-night diner type of thing.
And
some of them are open all night.
Yeah, that's where you're going to find the 24/7.
Yeah. So you
all
can
night.
always get French fries.
Yeah, or like wings, or the pretzel bites, or
They were good foods.
but we even had breakfast. They had the menu's more limited than main dining room, but it was still fairly expansive.
Yeah.
There were good choices at those venues that we had. So there's almost always a pub of some kind that is open, that's complimentary.
The local, though, is not a pub.
Yeah, O'Sheehan's is called a pub. I think they're pub-ish. Is that a
Do
word?
they have alcohol?
You could probably order a beer, I would think.
Okay.
But anyway, that you have the pubs. Now, as we go and talk about the ones you have to pay extra for. On some of the ships, there's this funny little thing called the American Diner
Yeah.
that used to be all extra. It
Yeah.
was not
Not complimentary.
at all.
Right.
But
But it was always empty when
Yeah.
we saw it. So kind of like what I guess we touched on it the last video, where they are always looking at what gives the most bang for the buck. So here you have this, all of these people that are waiting to serve
yeah, and
customers,
it's a
and it
cool,
was-
like 50-ish
and
diner
and
kind of
on
feel.
the Joy, it was right next to the race cars.
Right. But the reality was almost all the food, except for the milkshakes, you could get elsewhere
For free.
complimentary.
Yeah.
It's basically hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. So they decided to change it around, and so now everything's complimentary there, except for the milkshakes.
Yeah.
You're going to pay $7 each for a milkshake if
Hand
you want
spun.
that, maybe. But anyway,
I don't think it's out of the machine.
I don't know what it will. We'll have to try one just to report back
Yeah.
whether a $7 milkshake is worth it.
Wow.
But this is just another eating venue that is kind of out of the way, and it's complimentary now.
And I think it would be a good place to take kids if you
Sure.
didn't want to do a buffet, but you wanted to eat someplace with your kids.
Yeah.
And the dining room is a little
Too formal for you at that point. Yeah.
That would be a good place.
So then we'll switch to what they call specialty dining. These are venues that aren't included in your basic fare, so you have to either pay extra, or now they have all of this free at sea and the vouchers, and we won't get into all of those, but the ability then to go to a specialty dining place without paying out of pocket. I think the ships, our first cruise on the Wind, they had 2 specialty diners. Did they only have Cagney's and Le Bistro? I think,
No, I think they had a Italian restaurant.
okay, 2 or 3. But like
Wasn't
on
very
the
many.
Encore, they have like 8 or 9
Yeah.
specialty places. So out of all of these specialty dining places, what is your favorite and why?
Well, I'm a sucker for escargot, so I have to say Le Bistro. But I really like the spinach and the truffle fries from Cagney's. And then our last cruise, it was a new one. It was the Food Republic. And that was a lot of fun just because I like trying new foods.
Yeah, and it was more tapas. So the bistro is probably definitely the most formal.
Very French restaurant. You can.
Fancy, and you're expected to not wear flip-flops and shorts. That's
There's
one
a
of the
dress
few.
code.
Cagney's wonderful steakhouse, and then most ships have teppanyaki, Italian, a variety of other different kinds of specialty foods, and I really like the Food Republic as well because that's where it's tapas, and there's actually a little tablet at the table, and which was helpful because you could actually see a picture of your food, and you would just order it like 2 plates at a time.
Right.
And they had sushi, they had edamame, they had
But it was different cuisines. It wasn't
Yes.
just
Yes.
Japanese. So it was, you could go
variety
around the
of
whole world
stuff.
if you wanted.
Yeah, and I think the Prima class has kind of bumped that up. There's a whole different dining area with them, and we haven't been on those ships, but that's kind of a unique.
coming.
That's a whole different.
And then you have things like Q.
Yeah, which is barbecue with oftentimes a country band. Your Filipino country band going on.
But it's probably more Texas barbecue.
Yes, as opposed to Carolina, where we're from.
Which is
But a variety of really good food options that are
And
out
then you
there.
have the beer garden. What was that?
Well, and that's mainly that's an alcohol event because that's all beer. The District Brew House, there's no food there.
You can't get food?
No, that's all just
Okay.
it's a bar.
And then Ocean's Blue.
Ocean Blue Seafood, which is changing to Palomar Mediterranean Seafood during the dry dock. So you have all of those great places. I mean, you sit there and it's like, oh my gosh, there's too many options to eat. And then you have, in the past, we've gone to dining events. Some
Yes.
cost extra. Now,
Most of them.
well, the late night chocolate buffet.
Well, that's true, but that was probably just on the wind.
No, I think that was on a couple ships that we
Okay.
went on, but that
Anyway.
has gone away.
Yeah.
You could pay extra for a chef's table
Yeah.
event,
which was a lot
which
of
was
fun.
a lot of fun, but they don't have that anymore. Taste of India,
That was
we did a couple
Crazy.
different iterations of that. The first one, I think we actually paid a little bit extra, and we sat in a separate area, and they just brought it because there are so many people in the kitchen, the
Food
chefs that are from South Asia, and that's why you find so much of it on the buffet as well, and sometimes on the menu. But those are just different events. Oh, maybe we should just briefly room service.
yeah.
There is room service, but there is a fee. It used to be for, I think, a simple breakfast was free. Now there's like a $5 surcharge
Okay.
for it. And I think other times during the day, it's like a $10 surcharge. But it's a limited menu, but the times we did it when it was free, we ordered breakfast and it was,
Outside our
Right.
door, you pick a time and it's there.
there's a knock on the door right at that time. So
Yeah.
they were very good with that. So you've stayed with us through this whole thing about food, and
Are you hungry yet?
and I'll tell you, we don't go hungry.
No.
The trick is not gaining a lot of weight, doing walking or whatever,
Yeah.
but controlling yourself and not going too crazy, but just enjoying it. But what would be the tip? Because you've stayed so long, we want to give you a special tip about
Well, we
dining.
talked about room service, and there have been times where we've been at some place for and wanted to go someplace for
the show or something.
the show, and we still hadn't had our dessert. So there have been times where we've had the dessert sent to our room, and that was really kind of handy. But the other times, we actually were able to go back to the dining room after the show. So if we went to the early show, the dining room would still be open and we could go back. And
Right.
that was really helpful because it's so much food. And how can you really enjoy the lovely dessert if you're so full? How can you enjoy the show if you're worried
Well,
about
and-
time? And anyway,
yeah.
so that was just a
And I
good
think-
way of splitting it up.
Every time we asked to be able to do that at a main dining room, they said yes. And we just came back and we said, hey, we're back for dessert and coffee.
Yeah.
No problem here. Let's seat you.
The specialty restaurants are a little harder just because
Yeah.
of how they handle it, and those may have been the ones that we had.
Sent to our room because
yeah.
they may say, hey, I'm sorry, but at 8:30, 9 o'clock, we expect to be full.
Yeah.
Because you also have to realize that they all close like at 9:30 or something, and you have to be respectful. Don't show up at 9:35 and want to be seated
Or
for
9:25.
coffee. Or 9:25.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't do that.
respect the people there. But that was just a neat thing that we did a number of times. We'd eat a little bit early, we'd go catch a show, and then come back later for dessert and coffee. But that's just a general overview of all of the, and again,
And we
in
haven't
your-
touched on it all.
yeah, In your freestyle, the daily, the paper that you're given every day has the hours. And so again, you don't have a set time to go to eat. You look at, this restaurant's open from 5:30 to 9:30. You show up when you want.
Oh, I have another one.
All right,
Another bonus.
what's it?
So we wanted to eat at Ocean Blue, and we couldn't get reservations. So we showed up and we were like, well, maybe maybe somebody hasn't shown up.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what we learned at that time is they don't give reservations for outside dining. So if you're willing to eat outside, you can eat at any of the ones on the
that have waterfront dining.
Yeah.
What they call the waterfront on some of those ships.
So it may say that it's full because now you can do your reservations and there's all these graphics and stuff that you can check out, but they don't reserve all the outside tables. So you can always, if the
Right.
weather is nice enough to eat outside, you can eat outside.
Yeah, because they don't know what the weather's going to be, and that's
Right.
why they don't do reservations for out there. And when we were going for the Ocean Blue, the sun was right at the horizon and just too bright coming in, and said, hey, let's just wait another 10-15 minutes for the sun to go down, and then we'll start seating people on the waterfront. And we were able then to get a seat.
And it was lovely.
And it was very nice, yeah. So anyway, thanks for hanging with us, and hope this gets you excited about
your next cruise.
your next cruise and
Yep.
all the.
Give us a thumbs up, like and share, subscribe, ring the bell if you want to hear the next one, and leave a comment. What is your favorite restaurant or dining opportunity?
Or
Do you
menu
have
item.
any?
Yeah.
Do you have any tips or tricks that you've done on your cruising?
All right. So I hope you have a cruise or two booked already, and we're now 37 days from ours. But anyway, travel well.